Thankfully, it was just a preseason matchup. Jon, thank you so much for the time as always.
Always. Enjoy being on.
Well, Jon, when you call in that type of game, obviously you look at what's occurring every play, but do you feel like sometimes I have to tell stories and maybe distract the Who Dat Nation?
Oh, you're looking for any kind of off-ramp you can find just because it's so painful. And it's painful to watch live. I can only imagine when you're sitting at home saying, this is a preseason game, we're getting thumped. Can you offer anything that's entertaining? And, we're hoping to get a sideline interview from Tehran with a real player. Maybe that would be fun. But couldn't get much going, just all the way around, not only on the field, but off it. Made for a real slog.
Now, Jon, when you look at, future linemen that we're counting on, you can remember when you came into the league and how you developed. And looking at a rookie guard like Jeremiah Wright, now he was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, I don't know. That's the kind of old school football when, someone's standing around the pile, then you go hit him in the kidney, whatever. You just body block him. But, defenseless guy, you can't do that anymore. But he gets that unsportsmanlike conduct. But I like that aggressive nature. And I was looking at the one run. He had a nice block, I think, before the penalty. But what's your take on Jeremiah Wright? And can he provide that depth at guard, considering draft pick that you want it to work out?
He's going to have to provide that depth. The Saints need him, especially with Dylan Radins going down early with that ACL, gone for the year. They're going to rely on him to be ready. And what we knew about Jeremiah Wright when he came out of college is he's physical. He likes the push and the grind and the echo of the whistle. That's who he is. And for Saints fans, that sounds great, but there's also some cautionary tales there, and that was probably very similar to what you had with the profile of a guy like Trevor Penning. And when you have a player like that is physical and has the power and the tools and plays to the echo of the whistle, what you want to be able to do is harness it and make sure that it's not coming at a sacrifice of body control and balance. And when you play like that, it makes for a great highlight reel.
Right.
But offensive linemen are judged on consistency, and 3 good plays and 2 bad ones is a bad ratio. And I'm not saying he's that type of player. What I'm saying is, for a guy like that, you're always trying to. You don't want to steal what makes him special, and that he's physical. He's got a lot of power. You don't want to take that from him. But you also want to help him realize that when to use that and when where you just can't sacrifice that body control and balance, and how to use those traits to his advantage.
Now, Stinch, I'm going to read this text because the Who Dat Nation and look, your relationship with the Saints and, Sean Payton, and when you came on board and the expectations, it's like, Stinch, looked like maybe he was not the answer, after 2 years on the Haslett. Then Sean made him into a starter in the Super Bowl and then a Pro Bowler. Was that coaching, or was that just a combination of coaching and your maturing as a pro? Just comment on that, because to me, a lot of times, things aren't always going to work out your way. It's how you handle adversity, and can you build upon that? Just elaborate on that.
Absolutely. It is a combination of things. One, it was opportunity. I didn't, my third season's probably when I would have had my first real opportunity to make an impact, and I tear my patella tendon in training camp. So that was one of the limitations. The other is absolutely coaching. Especially now, you'll see players that are coming into the NFL. They are not finished products. And for fans to have these expectations that they're immediately ready in day one is becoming more and more unrealistic, that there's going to be growing pains. So when you get a guy like Kelvin Banks, who did so exceptionally well in year one, you get a little spoiled, but you also recognize his arrow is still pointed straight up, that he is still getting better. Fuaga, same thing. Just made that switch back to the right side this past season. He's heading into only his third season. These guys aren't even vetted yet. They don't even have benefit packages guaranteed on the back end of their career. So that they're only going to get better. And I can attest that for the players that are willing to put in the work and listening, and they have the good coaching, which makes such a big difference, that they will continue to get better. So what you see on day one or year one of a player, hopefully they become a much different player down the road and ascend to that Pro Bowl level. And the coaching is a big piece of it, and the willingness to get better and making sure that you have the right people in the right places. There's a lot of different ingredients to that equation.
Now, Stitch, I think you agree with this. When I look at McCoy at center, and the Saints have always had outstanding centers going on 2 decades now. I look since Katrina. And it seemed like the center position, I remember even though we lost Jimmy Graham, what Max Unger meant to the Saints. I mean, even Jeff Fain. Jeff Fain left the Saints. I think you can recall this. He was the highest paid center, and Tampa Bay paid him. So we've always had good centers. So I'll look at McCoy. Now, fair or unfair, sometimes, I mean, I said I think we had the best duo guards at this time. Everyone knows Jari Evans. But Carl Nicks was a son of a gun. Carl Nicks, to me, and then he goes to Tampa Bay. He got rewarded. Then he was all dealing with that staph infection. But the question I have for you, and the Saints and Mickey Loomis, they end up paying him. And at times he looked like the weak link, that being Cesar Ruiz, where they give him $44 million for 4 years. What do you think Cesar Ruiz needs to do maybe to build upon where he's at right now? Because you see the inconsistency, I think a lot of times maybe in pass protection. Seems like it's a pretty good run block. But what's your take? I would trust more your opinion and then what I'm saying, just being a quarterback, but where Cesar Ruiz is at. But he needs to mature, and he can't afford to be that weak link on the offensive line.
Agreed. And I think he knows that. I think you look at this offseason, the message was heard and received that last year was a step in the wrong direction for him. Just watching preseason, it looked like he came in a little bit lighter. I don't know if he was trying to accentuate the fact that he moves really well, but in this league, especially in the interior, you got to have the power that it just demands. And so the expectation was he was going to not only get back to his previous form, but be even better. Again, I was talking to Tehran. Tehran trained a lot of these guys in the offseason, Cesar Ruiz being one of them. And to me, the message that I was hearing specifically about Ruiz is that he wants it. He's trying to be that player that he knows that he's capable of and that Saints fans have seen flashes of. It's the consistency for him that's a work in progress, which, it stinks that he's injured right now, and hopefully it's temporary. Sounds like it is. But these are invaluable reps and time for him to get ready and be season ready when week 1 rolls around. It is unforgiving. The NFL is unforgiving. If you're not ready by day 1, then it makes for a really long season. You'd much rather get the work in on the front end and be as sharp and prepared by game time as you possibly can be. But you look at this offensive line, and it is young. With the exception of McCoy, it is young, and now David Edwards, you throw him into the mix,
right,
and he's a big frame guy. I mean, you talk about somebody who's been in this league a while, another veteran presence, but 2 tackles and a guard that are relatively young that can still get a lot better. So this group, much like the rest of this Saints unit, specifically on offense, it's still a little bit of an unknown to the rest of the league, and you have to go out there and prove it. So Mickey, if nothing else, he's done an incredible job of investing in this offensive line. Always has. He's done whether it's scouting and you find guys later in the draft like Jari Evans or Carl Nicks or Zach Strief. There have been a number of contributors that have been later round guys, but then you also think he continues to find others that you invest in highly. First round guys across the board seems like and consistently. So he tries to put the resources there, and you're hoping you get that return. And for the Saints to reach the mark that they're shooting for this season or any season, that group's just got to play at a high level. And I certainly think they're capable of it. I think Cesar Ruiz needs to take that step forward this year, back to his previous form and beyond. And that Jeremiah Wright has to be that sixth man now that Radens is down.
Now, John, this a little, not off topic, but a little personal question, because I'm a big gene pool guy. I said, I'm going to ask John this. I never knew his background. You and your brother, Matt, come on, you have two family members make the NFL. We all know about the Mannings here. That's unbelievable. And then you look at the grandchild, and you got two sons that's starting winning quarterbacks. I believe with Clay Matthews, the dad. You look at Matthews. Remember the brothers Joel and Jay Hilgenberg. So what was it with Jon Stinchcomb and Matt Stinchcomb? Do you give your mom credit or your dad, or where does that come from to have the success y'all had at the NFL level?
Well, neither one of them had a athletic background. My dad was a big man. He was 6'4", probably 270. So had the frame, but never really played. He actually, you wouldn't know it if you knew him. He was like a sweet man, just a nice guy, but had to graduate high school from night school for fighting. So he got kicked out of school for fighting. So, he's rough around the edges, but we would have never known it. It wasn't the dad that we knew. And, for us, it was, grateful that you've got the good genes. That certainly matters. I couldn't make myself 6'5", or Matt couldn't make himself 6'7", and have the frame and athleticism to do something with it. So a lot to be said about the nature piece. But, looking back, we'll get to Georgia, and in my class was Boss Bailey, who was the younger brother of Champ Bailey, and Terrence Edwards, who was the younger brother of Robert Edwards. So 3 sets of brothers at the University of Georgia almost simultaneously that were all pretty good. Was it just shows how unique that opportunity is, and when you get 3 in a row like that, it made it even more special.
Now, we speak with Jon Stinchcomb. Now, you bring up the Georgia Bulldogs. But you're going to be held accountable, because I know how they think about the Georgia Bulldogs in Georgia. I can remember, this is over basically about a quarter of a century. I remember doing the pre- and post game for Georgia Tech. They go, what is a Cajun doing Georgia Tech? I was at 790 the zone and stuff. And they're like, the Georgia Bulldog fans, hey, man, then you were from Atlanta. And then, why are you doing Georgia Tech? And then what makes you qualified? I said, well, I don't know, isn't Georgia Tech a good engineering school? My dad's a civil engineer. So, I was kind of joking with him. But how much pressure do you feel now? God, his name's slipping my mind. The old Georgia announcer with Herschel Walker, Larry Munson. It's raining sugar. It's raining sugar. And all. How much pressure you feel now? Because I know, listen, if the Falcons win, people in Georgia will be on the bandwagon. But they take the approach in Georgia that the Bulldogs have to win. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Georgia is a college state, and occasionally, if the Falcons happen to be doing good, they might go purchase a shirt, but they certainly don't own many of them. You can probably remember some of those days.
Yes, without a doubt.
In the prime, but there's some pressure there. Luckily, I'm voice adjacent. The voice of the Dogs is Jeff Danzler, and I just get to do what I've done for Saints preseason for all these years and provide a little color to what I see and talk about the game. But it's important. I'm sure you're in the thick of the Bayou Bengals down there and LSU Tigers, and how important that is to that fan base. And they seem to be competing with NFL teams for recruiting talent these days. So we all know that it's going to be a big year in the SEC. 3 straight seasons where the champion comes from the Big Ten. And I think we're all looking at this year going, the SEC needs to have a response pretty quick, or else it just means more. That tagline will be just that, just a tagline, and we'll have to think of something different. So
right.
I'm expecting this year to be important across the board for the Southeastern Conference, and I'm looking forward to this opportunity to kind of ride with the Dogs through the radio gig.
Yeah, we're looking at Lane Kiffin and LSU was going to come about, but you look from a national perspective, they don't have pardon the pun, a dog in the hunt, but it's kind of They go, well, the SEC is going to do something. It's either going to be the Texas Longhorns and Arch Manning or the Georgia Bulldogs. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think that's your front runners in the clubhouse just starting the season. The amount of resources that Texas has thrown at it to surround Arch with the players that he's going to need to make those kinds of runs. And for Georgia, having some proven commodities back, we weren't really super active in the transfer portal. And a lot of that had to do with retention of talent and trying to get some of the young players we relied upon last season 1 year further down the road in their development. So you talk about developing players, and Georgia's a place where they value a tough practice. There's plenty of places that have a different approach, but I can tell you this, having been to a number of the practices in Athens and watched Kirby and how he runs it, they're competitive. And so when you put that kind of investment in your players, you don't want to see them walk out the door and let some other team reap the benefits of all that hard work. So this year, if Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback, can elevate his game and you put the pieces around him, I think there's a reason to believe that both those teams have a pretty good shot at making a deep run in it.
Jon, always great hearing from you. Appreciate the time, and we're going to get to hear you on the call Friday against Dallas.
One more, and hopefully it is a much better outing all the way around for our Saints.
Amen for that. Thank you, Jon Stinchcomb on the call there. Saints Super Bowl champ, offensive tackle, also does Georgia football color analyst, joining us here on WWO Radio. Right now, heading to break, coming back with more of Second Guess right after this. Keep it locked on your home of the black and gold.